Hi friends and welcome. My name is Anna Helman, and in this video I want to share with you all the things you need to know to get started with your Stampin' Up! Products. If you're new to Stampin' Up!, some of our products are a little bit different than some of the others on the market, or you might be brand new to card making in general. I want to share some things in this video to help you understand how to prepare our stamps and ink pads and just some tips and tricks to make your user experience a little bit better. If you haven't used Stampin' Up! Products and you want to learn some things about them, this would be a great video to watch to see some of the differences and unique features of our products. At the end of my videos, we always chat about something with life. Today I want to talk a little bit about wellness on this health journey I've been on to try to feel better, and we'll talk about that at the end. Let's start by looking at our stamps, because you may be a little bit surprised when you receive your stamps for the first time. Our stamps do come in these handy stamp cases with the labels on the front, which I absolutely love. This makes them so nice for storing on shelves. You can look at the edge and see what's inside. You can see the names. They're just a lot easier to find than little stamps that just come between a couple of sheets of plastic, and you have to figure out how to store them and how to sort through and find the ones you want and all of that. So we do have two different kinds of stamps. Now, most stamps on the market are the clear stamps. These are our photopolymer stamps. We do also have red rubber stamps. So I like to mention this. Sometimes people are surprised when the stamps show up and they have the red rubber. So let's talk about the two kinds. Now, both kinds of stamps will need to be mounted to a clear block, such as this one, an acrylic block. So it's really easy to mount them. You stick them on, you peel them back off. Same thing with the red rubber stamps. And when they come, the photopolymer stamps will be, in this case, between two thin sheets of plastic, and they'll just be kind of like floating in here. They won't be attached to anything. Also, when this comes, it will be labeled a little bit differently. I want to show you how I prepare my stamps to make them more user-friendly for me. You do not need to do this, but I just like to share this in case you would want to do this. So when they come, they look like this. You have your label on the side, and you're not able to see through the back. So what I do, I pull these labels out. You can pull that whole sheet out. I put it in my trimmer and I cut it so that I can remove the piece with the diagram of what the stamps look like. And I slide this in right here. Then I take one of those sheets, one of those clear sheets of plastic that the stamps are mounted to. I use my Seal Plus adhesive because it works the best. I attach that strip, that clear plastic sheet on the inside, and then I put my stamps on here. So this is several steps, but once I have them done, this makes it, for me, I much prefer this because I can see through the back. I can see all my stamps that are inside. I can see how big they are. A lot of times I want to know, well, how big is this greeting? Can I use it with this punch or with this die? Will it fit inside? So I can see everything. I also always double check to make sure all of my stamps are inside before I put this back on the shelf. So by seeing through the back, I can make sure all my stamps are inside before I put it away. And when I'm ready to use it, I just open it up, peel it off. When I'm done, I can stick it right back inside. I prefer this a lot more than with the sheets of plastic. The other thing I do when I prepare my photopolymer stamps is I apply some Versamark ink, clear ink that is used for heat embossing. I apply it to all of my brand new stamps and then I clean them off. And what I have found is that by doing that, it helps to prevent these from staining. It will not stop the staining, but it definitely helps them not to stain as badly when I use some of those colors that are really prone to making the stamp stain, like reds and purples and deep browns. Let's look at the red rubber stamps. And I have already prepared this one. I'll show you here in a second how I prepare these. But I keep the square sheet, the rectangle sheet that the stamps are punched out of. I keep that. I mount it to the inside of my case, and then I keep each stamp in the spot where it fits. And this is a really good check for making sure all of these stamps are in place before I use them. So it's easy to open it up, pull the one out that I want, mount this to a clear block. When I'm done, remove it, put it back in the case. So let's look at how I prepare these stamps. When I get my new stamp orders, I go ahead and I prepare all of them at one time. So I had to dig through and find some old stamps where I had not prepared all of them. So here are some photopolymer ones. This is how the stamps come. So they have the 2 sheets of plastic. I can peel the 1 sheet off, remove the stamp that I want, and then put it back when I'm done. So that's the photopolymer. Here are some rubber stamps that this shows how they are when they come. So they are in a sheet. I pop them all out, and I'll just do this with a couple of them to save time. So I pop out all the stamps. Then I remove, there is a paper backing piece on here. Now, if you're curious, when you're shopping for stamps with us, it will tell you they're either photopolymer or cling, and the cling is the rubber, so that way you'll know which ones are which. So I put this on the inside of my case. It will cling nicely there. I remove this paper backing from these stamps. Some stampers find that they have a preference of either the photopolymer or the red rubber. I like the way the rubber stamps stamp better. They have some cushion. If your stamping surface isn't perfectly level, these will give you a little bit better stamp than the photopolymer ones will typically. But the photopolymer ones are a little bit easier. They're a little bit more foolproof, I should say. If you over ink your stamp with these, you can end up with some ink in some places where you don't want it. With the photopolymer, even if you over ink, typically the ink is going to stay on the block or on the stamp and not end up on your project or your hands, hopefully. Okay, so you just saw I pulled, there's paper backing on here. It's split, and I just peeled one piece off, peeled the other piece off. And there's different ways to do this. I'll show you a couple of different ways to label these. Some people actually don't label them, but most people find that they prefer to have the labels. It does make it a lot easier when you can see what is on the back of that stamp. So I just line it up and press down. And once I have them all on the sheet, then I just peel them off. If you start with one corner, they'll come off a lot easier. So you can peel those off. A fun little tip is they're in the same arrangement here as they are here. So if you don't have them laying like all over the place, if you keep them organized, it's real easy to figure out which ones go where. Now let me show you another way of labeling stamps. Okay, this is not the way I normally do it, but there are others who love this trick, so I had to remember how to do it there for a second. So I'll pop out one more stamp. This is the label that coordinates with it. I am going to peel this whole thing off of the sheet, including the label and that paper backing. I am very gently going to put this on my stamping block, and now I want to remove these paper backing pieces. And you can use, if you have any problems with this, a take your pick tool with either the spatula or the piercing tip may help a little bit. So this is what people love about this, is that you can line it up perfectly with your stamp when you have it where you want it. give it a nice good press, and then you can remove it from the block. If you ever have a hard time removing these from the blocks, there's several tricks for getting them off the blocks a little bit easier. If you mount it just barely off the edge of your block, this much, or maybe just a little bit farther that way, so it's just barely off, you should still be able to stamp fine with it. It's really easy to pull off. Usually, I start pulling, and if this corner doesn't want to lift off, usually one of the other ones will. If you have to, you can use a fingernail and get that sticker label to start to release, and then it should come off really easily. So those are a few ways to label your rubber stamps. I think that covers our stamps. Now let's look at our ink pads. Our ink pads are definitely different than most of the ones on the market, and in my opinion, that they are big improvements over some of the other ink pads. But first thing first, how do you open our ink pads? It doesn't just have a lid that lifts off like most of the others. So there's a groove right here in the front. That is for your thumb. You put your thumb right there and lift. It will rotate around to where it's flat, and then you can slide the top back in place over the base. And I love that this is all one piece. If you drop them, they don't pop open and get ink all over your floor. I don't have to worry about losing my lid in my crafting hot mess on my table. I just find these are really nice for a lot of reasons. Now, when you get your ink pad, it is not going to have the color label right here on the front, and it will not have the color label on the inside that you see right here. This is so helpful when you have multiple colors of ink open on your crafting surface. A lot of times it's hard to tell which color is which, even though you wouldn't think it would be that hard to tell. That is so helpful, but it doesn't come already in there. So let me show you how I put the labels on. Here's that take your pick tool again, and I am going to use the spatula tip. So on the back of your ink pad, there is a sticker label with 5 long narrow strips. One of them is going to have the name of the color in English. We have several other languages, and then there's a plain one. So the ones I use for this are, I just lift up that label, and then when the little strips stay stuck, then I lift that up and I'm able to pull that out of here. So here is the label for the front, the one with the name of the color. So I put that on there, and then I want to get, I usually use the plain one with no name for the inside. And you can play around with how to put this in. I curve it like this between my fingers, and then try to get the center of it in the center, and then just let the rest of it go. If you need to press it down at all, this tool can be helpful for that as well. So that gets the labels inside. Now you have some extra labels on the back, and I find all kinds of uses for these. I like to put one around the top of my ink refill bottle. We'll talk about re-inking the stamps, the ink pads here in just a second. But you can put one around the top of here. If you have all of these sitting like in the top of our ink storage that we sell, it can be hard to tell which color is which. That label can be really helpful. I use these sometimes around the base of my blending brush to keep my colors separate. But you can use these to label all kinds of other things in your collection if you want to. Okay, let's talk about a couple more things. One thing is most ink pads on the market, you are supposed to store upside down so that when you open them, the ink will be on the surface, if that makes any sense at all. So here's one I can show you. So this one just has a lid. You're supposed to store this upside down. so that gravity will pull the ink to the surface, and when you're ready to use it, it's right there on the surface. Now with our ink pads, you want to store them the way you see right here, which is right side up, because they're designed to store with that ink pad upside down when they're facing this direction, okay? Okay, let's re-ink one of these, and then I'll give you a quick tip on inking your stamp in case you haven't used these before. So one of the things I love about our ink pads is you can get the ink refills. We carry the same 40 standard colors for years and years at a time. Every once in a while they get switched out, but during that whole time, we carry all of the colors, the ink pads, the cardstocks, the embellishments, the designer papers, the refills to refill these. So when you run low on ink, you can just re-ink it. Now I really encourage you, when you order ink pads, to order the refill with it. That way, when you're doing a lot of stamping, you're stamping away and you get low on ink, you already have it on hand. And if we happen to have done one of those color refreshes in the meantime, you already have your ink refill on hand, just in case that was one of the colors that got pulled out of our collection. So you just squeeze gently, apply the ink across the surface, and then to smooth it out, a plastic spoon is actually one of the easiest things to use, just to smooth it out and make sure that ink is even. Let's ink up a stamp real quick, because with other ink pads, you can press as hard as you want and you're probably not going to have any problems. But with our ink pads, they're made out of a special foam material, and you don't want to over ink them if possible, to avoid getting extra ink on your fingers and your project. So to ink our stamps, I just set it on the surface, and I usually move it around a couple of times just to make sure that ink is even, but I do not press. I do not press at all. When you press, you end up sometimes with extra ink all over the place. Then it's on your fingers, then it's on your project. Then you want to quit card making. Hopefully not, but it's frustrating. So just set it on do not press. And for some people, this is really hard. Like you have to try really hard not to press, but you don't have to. You just set it on there, tap, tap. It inks the stamp really well. I love how our ink pads ink the stamp and get that ink spread out nicely without me having to work very hard or work at all at it. And we get a really nice stamped image here. Okay, let's look at our trimmer for a moment and talk about how it works. I think using our trimmer is pretty self-explanatory. One of the things that's really nice about our trimmer is it has both the cutting blade and the scoring blade. I will mention this, it has the arm that folds out to the side, and it goes to almost a little over 17 inches actually. You can fold that back in and out of the way when you are not using it. And I will mention this, it does come with a protective film on the surface. You can peel that off when you want to. A lot of times people don't realize it's there. I didn't realize that protective film was here. I made these lines on my trimmer to give me a good guide for cutting my card bases and my card mats. I get a lot of questions about this, and I have people who want to know more about it. I'll put a link in the video description below with more information on the lines on my trimmer. But I put the lines on here before I peeled that protective film off. So my protective film is still here with the lines on top. So someday maybe I'll peel it off and redo my lines. But we have the cutting and the scoring blade. This cutting arm raises up. I have some people who have commented that it's a little bit hard to raise this up on certain trimmers. So here's an idea for you, and it reminded me of something I forgot to share a moment ago. We're gonna use a candle right here. So the place right up here where the trimmer locks into place, there's a little circle right there. We are going to use, and there's one down on the bottom as well, use just a birthday candle, a little bit of wax, and rub it on there, and it will make it easier to open and close. And before I forget the second time, so this ink pad is brand new, and this one opens, it's definitely harder to open and close than this one right here that has been in my collection for quite a while. They can be a little bit stiff sometimes when they're new. So here's what you can do if that's the case. One thing you can do is just open and close them several times, like do that over and over a few times. And the other thing you can do is take a candle and run it along the inside of this track where the pad slides back and forth. And that just really helps everything to slide a lot easier, okay? I didn't mention this. When you have your pad open and you're ready to close it again, pull right here on this little tray. It will pop out, pull it all the way across, and then you just flip it closed. And make sure to press and get it all the way closed so that it's airtight. Back to the trimmer. We are going to cut and prepare 2 card bases. I have 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I'm going to line it up at 4 1/4. Score down the center. Turn it sideways to the 5.5 inch mark. Get the scoring blade out of the way and cut up the center. And I have 2 card bases here prepared. Here's something else I've done. You may have noticed this, but I wrote the words cut and score on the blades so that it's, if I forget which one is which, it tells me right there. So that's a great tip that can help you out as well. So just a couple of quick bits of information, other things that may help you. One tip that I absolutely love that you may have never heard before is, let's say you're trying to find a specific ideas for a specific stamp set, like the Poised Peony stamp set. Get online, go to Pinterest, Instagram, Google, wherever you want to do your searching, and type in Stampin' Up Poised Peony, or Stampin' Up in the name of whatever product it is, and you will find so many ideas for that specific set. Another thing that's great for ideas is our catalog. If you don't know that we have a catalog, we do. We are that awesome. We still have a catalog, and it's more like an idea book. Like, there's so many neat things in here that even when these are out of date, they're great to keep on hand because they have so many ideas. And when you need some inspiration, just open up one of the old catalogs and flip through, and you'll find lots of ideas. But these are great resources, as is our website. If you shop with me, when you're a first-time customer with me, you'll get a catalog from me, and as long as you have ordered within the last 6 months, you will continue to get the new catalogs as well. So these are great resources. There's so much information in here. There's ideas on techniques and card layouts. The website is full of information at stampinup.com. My website is full of information. I know you like to watch me here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed so you see my upcoming videos. But my website, handmakewithlove.com, is full of things. One thing that is really helpful is my card gallery. You can go to the gallery, you can see tens and hundreds of ideas within seconds. And if you see one that you like, click on it and you can go to that place. There's a search bar on my website. If you're looking for information on certain products or certain techniques, search in the search bar. I have tried to do really in-depth tutorials on all kinds of things. A lot of our products, like our trimmer and our die cutting machine and blending brushes, all kinds of products like that, the tools. But use that search bar. You can find all kinds of things there. Another thing I'll mention is the opportunity to sign up with Stampin' Up and get a discount on your products. So with this, you have multiple options. You can just sign up and take advantage of the starter kit offer where you get extra products at a discounted price and you get free shipping. Or if you want to keep ordering after that, you can get a 20% or greater discount on your products. Now, if you want to stick with it, you can stick with it and order at a discount as long as you want to. If you want the option to share stamping with other people, or maybe even earn some money, do some classes, make some videos, you can get as involved in that as you want to. But you can just sign up and get a discount on your own products if you're interested in that. So I'll include information in the video description below about that. Now at the end of my videos, we always talk something about life. Today I thought we would have a little wellness chat. I've talked several times about the diet that I'm on and how the whole idea behind it is to improve your gut health, the health of your digestive system, to therefore improve all of your wellness. So people knew thousands of years ago that your wellness and your health all began in your digestive tract. So I don't know why the memo got lost between then and now. I think when antibiotics were invented, we forgot everything that we knew before that. And antibiotics are actually part of what I think has been so bad for my gut health. As a kid, I think I was on way too many antibiotics and it wrecked me from the beginning. So now I'm trying to work to overcome that. But I thought I would just share a little bit about the basics of gut health. Like, I have been on this special diet for a while. I know that is not for everybody. But if you're tired of health problems, there are options for things like, very restrictive diets that will change your health if you're interested in something like that. But they say that like 85% of your immune system lives right inside of your digestive tract. So that's what keeps us well. It lives right there. I'm trying to improve what I eat, what I put in my digestive system, improve its functioning, and hopefully get rid of my annoying health problems that I'm really tired of as a result. But I made a quick list of things that help your gut health and things that hurt your gut health, just to give you an idea. Like, if you're not aware of these things, it's hard to make changes. But if you're aware, next time you're stressed out, if you can just work on like calming down and be aware of like, okay, this is really bad for my health. Let's do some deep breathing. Let's just calm down. When we're aware of these things, we can try to make some small changes. So things that help your gut health: real food, whole food, food that has not been processed. Probiotics. So probiotics are a big part of what I'm doing to try to improve my gut health, but I do not take probiotics. I eat them in the form of yogurt that I make myself and sauerkraut that is fermented, not the canned kind that's sealed in a jar on the refrigerator or on the grocery store shelves. If it's in the refrigerated section, then it probably has probiotics in it. But fermented vegetables, for example, I eat like sauerkraut and yogurt. Getting outside in the fresh air, exercise, a positive mindset and outlook, natural medicines like herbs and things like that. Probiotics, I put that on my list a second time. Apparently it's really important. It is important, but I forgot and I put it on a second time. Things that hurt your gut health: stress, anxiety, anger, fear, hurt, shame. A lot of medicines. Looking back over, there are so many medicines, even over-the-counter stuff. We just think it's normal and it's fine, and it does actually have side effects, one of them being damaging our gut health and our immune system that keeps us well, right? Last but not least, something that hurts our gut health. This was my addiction prior to going on this diet that I'm on for my whole life. My addiction was sugar, and it was bad. And when I learned about this diet and I read the book, it told me my life story in the book. Antibiotics, sugar cravings. Okay, that all started when I was young. Bad. It was bad, the sugar cravings. So anyway, that is not good. It feeds the bad bugs that are inside of us that then control our mind. Like this whole gut health thing is fascinating to me, but the bad bugs, if they get out of control inside of you, if the good bugs are knocked down with antibiotics, for example, and then the bad bugs get out of control, they actually send messages to our brains to control us and tell us what to do, like eat more sugar, okay? You want to know where those sugar cravings are coming from? From the bad bugs that live inside of you that want more sugar, for example. So anyway, very quick introduction to gut health. I'll share more about wellness in another video. Thanks so much for being here. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you'll be back again next time when I'll be here helping you to hand make with love.